Giddy Gang Show on Scarbox Nation TV. It's the Giddy Gang Show on Scarbox Nation TV. And we're coming to you live from CB Getty. It's the Giddy Gang Show.
Giddy Gang Show.
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 It's the Giddy Gang Show on Cigarbox Nation TV. Well, hello. Welcome back to another Giddy Gang Show on this fine Friday afternoon. As you can see, the cast has slightly changed, but the message remains the same. I'd like to welcome Patrick Boyle, my good friend Pat Boyle, to the Giddy Gang Juke Shack stage this week. He's going to do a couple of songs for us, play a tune or two, and we're going to talk a little bit about today. Those of you who live in the U.S. and I guess pretty much the whole world knows that September 11th is a special day in the United States for most all of us who lived through that time back in 2001. So we're not going to dwell on it too long, but certainly want to mark the passage of 19 years.
Absolutely. 19
years since all of that. Also, Dan Caldwell is out today. Deke is off at a homebrewers jamboree gathering, a socially distanced, safe gathering where I suspect it's possible some beer may be drank.
Oh, no.
Dan, it's
never.
true. Hey, is your mic on this week?
I believe my mic is on
All
this
right,
week.
Nick's mic is on. Just checking. I want to say hello to everyone out there. I see Mike Christ and Shaq Collins over there in Jacksonville. Oh, also Danny Woodman, not Danny Goodman. Oh, hello. He's fine. There he is. Oh, we almost lost.
Sorry.
All right.
No,
As you can see, he is
just
present, and he'll be joining us on stage in the third half of today's show to share a song with us. A little left over from Labor Day, a song we were thinking of doing last week and didn't quite get to, so a working man's song. What else we got? I've got the second part of the Builder's Diary of the one-way ticket steamer trunk guitar. I'm going to be sharing some photos with you, and yeah, all sorts of good stuff. So Patrick, thank you for coming in today. It was, as with most of my guest requests, it was last minute.
It's the way we like
But
it.
by God, he was stopping by anyway. So here we are, almost halfway to St. Patrick's Day.
Damn near there.
This coming Thursday will be exactly halfway, 6 months to the day. Let's see. Yes, 6 months. So I don't think we'll get into the Irish this week, but next week be looking for a few Irish songs. You know, this past St. Patrick's Day, we didn't really get to do what we normally do because everything was shut down. The governor shut it down, the day before? Yeah. And so, but, you know, the Irish find a way.
Oh, the Cold Tree Lounge in Somersworth was running hot and heavy.
That's true. The Code Tree was open. That was still early in the days.
Yeah.
Would you believe I've got the wrong Giddy Gang show pulled up here? Anyway, so those people I just welcomed, they might not be out there. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time tapping away on this. Actually, Danny, hand this over to Nick, see if you can get today's show pulled up on it. Thank you, sir. So, Patrick invited me to an open mic at a local town, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
And I stopped by, and at that one, I brought along the tool shed guitar, made out of the old shovel and rake handles taken from your brother's property down in the greenhouse.
Protected by Uncle Patty, I'm sure.
Uncle Patty was, yeah. So you can see the full builder's diary of this build on cbgiddy.com. And
Sorry,
the
I think I hit the
freshly
mic.
completed, Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
The fresh. Hey, there we are. I was gonna say there was a whole different show going on. That doesn't look like us. Yes, this guitar, the Builder's Diary, is done. We're gonna be going through some of it. If I go to the upcoming open mic, I might bring this one along.
Absolutely.
Give it a trot out. So there's a song we used to do in the band. It was one of your favorites that you led, and it's an appropriate song for this time of year, as we head into the cooler months, and then the colder months, and then the deep freeze. At least up here in New Hampshire, and that song is "Lady of Autumn." Now, one thing we didn't cover is what key do you do this in? Yeah.
Probably G. No. My lady of autumn, sing me a song, play me a tune, tell me I'm wrong, tell me you don't need things that you say, tell me that we'll find a way. You're right clear as winter, you're tight soft as spring. You weigh like the summer birds on the wing. The seasons are changing, it's time you were gone. The colors of you linger on. My lady of autumn, sing me your song, play me your tune, tell me I'm wrong, tell me you don't mean the things that you say, tell me that we'll find a way. Fields that were golden are changing to brown. Leaves that were gray now tumble to the ground. The warm sun of summer makes way for the snow. I know it's time you must go. My lady of autumn, sing me your song, play me your tune, tell me I'm wrong, tell me you don't mean the things that you say, tell me that we'll find a way. The light it is changing, skies overcast. Winter is here now, autumn has passed. Deep in this dark world, the warmth I must find. Though it's winter in the valley, it's still autumn in my mind. My lady of autumn, sing me your song, play me your tune, tell me I'm wrong, tell me you don't mean things that you say, tell me that we'll find a way.
Very nice. A couple of people said, good harmony. Boy, you should have heard it when it was all four of us.
Yeah, should have heard it
Good
when we were
Talk
something.
about harmony. I think I stole that harmony from one of the others, Patricia or Kim. I don't usually come up with them on my own, you know. So welcome to all of you. Rusty Taylor, I see out there. By the way, speaking of Rusty, he's working hard to put together a virtual Georgia Cigar Box Guitar Festival. I'm sure he said more about it, but hopefully going live to the Friends of Giddy page tomorrow. I see they're discussing some possible upcoming changes on Facebook in regards to musical performances, which, if true, would certainly affect many of us, including the Giddy Gang Show. You may see the Giddy Gang Show go to YouTube only if these rule changes are as extensive as I've been reading. We'll see. I'd like to say hello to Sheila Duffy Moan out there, saying it's like old times,
God,
hearing a bit of singing.
God, Sheila, you're looking wonderful. Honest to God, to tell you the truth.
Good to see you out there. Elaine Vachon just tuned in, who was here just a few moments ago. Hello, Elaine. Hope to see you tomorrow.
I would say that if we do end up getting forced to YouTube, quality of the video will go up.
You know,
I mean, that's a
every
that's
cloud
a
has a
double-edged sword.
silver lining, doesn't it? We'll see. Hopefully,
That's the producer in me going, hey.
Hopefully, Facebook doesn't.
It's because of all the live stream performances that people have been doing the last couple of months.
Yeah. We get after every show we get notices about this was copyrighted and that was copyrighted, but anyway, we'll see. Enough of that. On to a little talk about today. One of the reasons I'm really glad Patrick is here is you served many years as a police officer.
43 years in law enforcement.
43 years. You
Yeah.
served in the Army Reserve.
I had a dual career. I was in law enforcement in the Army Reserve, and I did 30 years in the Army Reserve.
So all the years in law enforcement, you know, September 11th, of course, it's remembering all of the different Americans who died that day, the people on the planes, the people in the buildings, and the people who went into the buildings, ran into burning buildings to try to save others. Those, of course, the first responders, the firefighters, and the police officers, and the EMT people who ran into those burning towers and lost their lives in a sad but heroic way. Sorry.
That goes on all year long with first responders. It didn't end on 9/11, believe me. Police officers, firemen, EMTs, all these people out there every day, and it's a tough job, and sometimes a thankless job, but most of the people I worked, all good people, still hard-working good people, and law enforcement had kind of a bad rap this year because it's like anything else, there's some bad apples, and we try to get rid of those through training. And I'd say here in New Hampshire, if those officers had been trained here in New Hampshire, that what's going on would not be happening now. They're trained very well here, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. It's, for a civilian like me, it's hard to imagine doing that work. So, yeah, I certainly appreciate and send our thoughts out to all of those who do the work, those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. It's a good day. You know, every day is a good day to remember and memorialize that, but today, I think especially, kind of brings it to a head.
Yes.
And along those lines, you brought along with you a set of shuttle pipes, smaller, slightly, quite quieter version.
It's quite a version of the Highland pipes.
Yeah. Well, originally I thought about saying bring the full Monty, but
yeah.
Whew, it'd be a little tight in this small studio.
A little noisy in here. You wouldn't need a microphone.
You would. We'd probably just turn it off and you'd still hear it at home, wherever you are. But you've been piping at various events for many years.
62 years this October. Next month.
That's a lot of years. Funerals, weddings, everything in between.
And I consider myself a good piper. I'll never be a great piper, but I enjoy it, so that's all that matters to me.
So, do you know what key you'll be in on either of these?
I say A.
Probably A. A couple of tunes.
A or D.
Yeah, that'll be one of the two, isn't it?
Perfect line.
I'll find you if it seems appropriate. So he'll squeeze up the pipes there and give us. I know Amazing Grace is one of them.
Amazing Grace, and then I'll do another one after that. It's called Flowers of the Forest, which is in Scotland. For a military, we have played taps. In Scotland, when a Scottish military person dies, they play this song. It's called not Flower Scotland, but
Flowers of the Forest.
Flowers of the Forest.
And a lot of pipers won't play it like during regular
No.
sessions and
No.
things. It's reserved, but I'd say that 9/11 is a appropriate times. That was Amazing Grace.
Yes, sir.
Never heard of it.
you,
I could say something, but it'll be
you
nice.
still thinking of doing the second one?
Oh, I can do that now. This is Flowers of the Forest.
All right. I don't know the chords to this one, so you're on your own. you chills. Well, it gives me chills. Well, thank you, Patrick,
Absolutely.
for that.
Anytime.
It's good to remember. Never forget. That.
There's an old Scottish saying taught to me by Gunny Smith. Here's to us, those like us. Damn few left and they're all dead.
All right, and thank all of you for joining us today. I see a lot of names out there that I recognize, and we're glad that you're taking a few moments out of your Friday afternoon. As I said earlier, Dan Caldwell, our buddy Deke, is off at a homebrewers convention. Danny Woodman will be joining us on stage here shortly. Nick's back there. All your glasses already empty there, son.
It's yes.
Jesus.
Evaporate.
It's a wee bit. Yeah. It's
Well, you know, I've got some more ice.
Oh, well,
and,
I won't say no.
drop with a pure. If
Let's say hi to the. Oh, let me grab
seeing
it.
as how it's almost St. Patrick's Day, you know. Oh, I got the wrong
Well,
side.
I won't be here for next week's show, so that's my.
That's true. Next weekend would have been the Scottish Highland Games up in
That's right, yeah.
up at Loon Mountain here in New Hampshire, and which
uh,
Nick traditionally there he is. Whoa, he's hoving into view, boy.
Aye.
It was Friday morning when she set sail.
Maybe I'll try to get a kilted video
Yeah, another.
if you do a show next week.
Yeah, well, it's shaping up. Now that I've remembered that you're not here next week, it might be an Irish sing-along session here on the Giddy Gang Show, so I can just hit go over there and
Let it rip.
not have to mash any other buttons. So we'll see. If you haven't noticed so far, we tend
Thank
to.
you, sir.
You're welcome. We tend to make it up as we go around here. We got a video for you now that our good buddy Cale over at Pornis sent in. And when we're back, Danny will have joined me on stage, and Patrick will be off to do the Lord's work somewhere, by
Yeah.
God. And yeah, so thanks again for joining us. Thank you for
Anytime.
stopping by, Patrick. It's always a
Absolutely.
good time. And until next time, if not before,
Peace.
Godspeed.
Peace.
All right, here's the video from Pornis Studios.
Oh, jeez. Caught me off guard.
Caught him staring, by God.
Howdy folks, so it's been a while since we've done a Sunday morning video from the studio, so I figured this would be a nice change of pace. And special tuning for this one. So first of all, this is a standard 4-string cigar box guitar, which typically they are tuned G, D, G, B, like that's used on a lot of tenor guitars and 4-string banjos as well. But I like to tune them A, D, G, B. So a little bit different, very close, but a little bit different tuning. But this one, what I did this week is I took this one up a half a step. So this is B, E, A, C sharp, or what I like to call beach tuning. Get it? Anyway, if you do that, then you can play this song. Covered here Sunday morning.
So we told just a wee white lie there. Patrick didn't leave. Danny joined us. And we're going to do a couple of songs all together.
I will say, hey, if you liked that, go check out Pornis.
Oh, yeah.
New videos every Sunday.
Thanks to KO for that.
Thanks, buddy.
Say the words. That's good. So you want to start with 16 tons, and then we'll do a couple of Irish ones for you, just as a warm-up
All right.
for the halfway to St. Patrick's Day bash.
All right.
If Sheila's still out there, I know she likes the good Irish ones. So, all right.
Who
so
doesn't?
now, I first heard this song 16 Tons with Johnny Cash doing it.
Yeah.
But I believe Tennessee Ernie
Tennessee
Ford
did it.
Yeah.
was the
famous.
first. Is that kind of the style that
Yeah.
you know? All right.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
That's. I haven't actually heard the song for a long time, but.
Well,
I.
about to hear it now, by
Yeah.
God. And we're going to do it a cappella, I believe.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Why not?
Because the chords were fighting me, so I
Ah.
decided at the last minute I just would go do it a cappella.
And I wanted to apologize. I don't know if it's coming through, but there's a terrific banging going on here in the mill.
Oh, I meant to shut the door. I'm sorry.
Someone's putting up a wall somewhere, so just pretend it's all part of the show, folks.
Yep.
So
All right.
working
Live TV.
class outfit we have.
Somebody.
Take it out in post.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Well, some people say a man's made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood, skin and bones. A back that's weak, a mind that's weak, and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. Picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. Loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal. The straw boss hollered, well, bless my soul. You load 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble is my middle name. I was raised in the bottoms by mama line. Got no high grown woman, make me walk the line. You load 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't and a lot of men died. I got a fist of iron and a fist of steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Wow, not bad for
Little
first
practice,
time
we could
through.
do something.
Yeah. Unrehearsed.
We'll take the
folks.
show on the road.
Whew. All right, very good. Now a couple of the Irish ones for those out there who like such things.
One pleasant evening in the month of June, as I was sitting with my glass of spoon, a small bird sat on an ivy bunch, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. And tooraloo-raloo, 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 tooraloo-raloo. A small bird sat on an ivy bunch, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. What more diversion can a man desire than to sit him down by an alehouse fire? Up on his knee a pretty wench, and on the table a jug of punch. And tooraloo-raloo, 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 tooraloo-raloo. Up on his knee a pretty wench, and on the table a jug of punch. Well, if I get drunk, well, the money me own, and I'm no likely fiddle and they'll rosin me home. I and I'll be welcome wherever I go. Toodaloo-daloo, 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 toodaloo-daloo. I'll tune me fiddle and they'll rosin me home. I and I'll be welcome wherever I go. Let the doctors come with all their art. They'll make no impression upon my heart. Even the cripple forgets his crutch when he's snug outside of a jug of punch. Toodaloo-daloo, 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 toodaloo-daloo. Even the cripple forgets his crutch when he's snug outside of a jug of punch. Now when I'm dead, I am in my grave. No costly tomb, no home will I have. Just lay me down in my native peat with a jug of punch at my head and feet. Toodaloo-daloo, 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 toodaloo-daloo. Just lay me down in my native peat with a jug of punch at my head and feet.
Woo!
There you go.
Well, there's one. First time ever through that one, too. Oh, no, just kidding. Maybe we done that one once before. So, of course, that's a good drinking song of Irish, I believe of Irish derivation. Maybe a touch of Scottish in there. Who knows? Well, you're well qualified on both fronts.
Well, my father was born in Cady, County Armagh, Ireland, and my mother was born in Glasgow, Scotland. And they met working down the mills here in Dover. But anyways, I was born with a curse, because I'm Scotch and Irish. I love to drink, but I'm too cheap to buy it. So there you go. That's why I had to take up entertaining to get free booze and food whenever I can, you know.
Whatever the cost, he will pay.
Yeah.
Gladly pay you Thursday for a hamburger day.
So here's a good, so that was a drinking song. Here's a good rebel song. The Rising of the Moon. Now then tell me, Sean O'Farrell, tell me why you hurry so. Hush me, book, hush and listen, and his cheeks were all aglow. I bear orders from the captain, get you ready quick and soon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. Now then tell me, Sean O'Farrell, where the gathering is to be. In the oats by the river, right well known to you and me. One more call for signal token, whistle out marching tune. With your pipe upon your shoulder by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. With your pipe upon your shoulder by the rising of the moon. Out of many a mud wall cabin eyes were watching through the night. Many a manly heart was throbbing for the coming morning light. Rumors ran along the valleys like the banshees lonely crew, and 1,000 blades were flashing by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. With your 1,000 blades were flashing by the rising of the moon. Weapons hung their own beloved green, that through every foe and traitor forward strike the marching tune. And hurrah, me boys, for freedom, 'tis the rising of the moon. 'Tis the rising of the moon, 'tis the rising of the moon. And hurrah, me boys, for freedom, 'tis the rising of the moon.
rising of the moon, 'tis the rising of the moon. And the Ronnie boys for freedom, 'tis the rising of the moon.
All right. Oh my God, that's 2. Now Jim Burt's saying that Merle Travis wrote 16 Tons.
I believe he did.
All right,
Yes.
I believe it. He wrote a lot of great stuff. What should we go out on? Or at least out of this section of the show. There's a little more to come. This is a little bit of impromptu Irish session here in the middle.
Is it too early for the parting glass?
No, I don't think so. Well, you're parting after
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one, so it's appropriate. So we do this one a cappella. It's a classic Irish and Scottish parting song at the end of the session, the end of the evening. And there's nobody better qualified to lead it. Do you remember the time you, Duffy, and I sang this at Paddy Riley?
Oh, yes. That's.
And he stood there and took it, my God.
And I'm saying, oh, who's this old man over
Who's
here?
this old short guy here?
Anyways, it goes
Yes.
something, or really exactly like this. Oh, of all the money that there I've spent it in good company, and of all the harm that there I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, if I had money enough to spend, and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town that surely has my heart beguiled. With rosy cheeks and ruby lips, alas, she has my heart enthralled. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, of all the comrades that e'er I've had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I've had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly call, good night and joy be with you all. Good night, God bless. Take care, everyone.
Thank you again, Patrick.
Bye.
See you hopefully again next week, if not before.
Oh.
Well, we already ran our transition video, so I guess now we just mash about. Yeah, I think so. All right.
Now where do I get my check?
Oh yeah, the check. Oh, I think that's.
Oh, it's in the mail.
It's in the
That's
mail,
right.
and you know the
Okay.
post office is running
Yeah,
a
they're
little
kinda slow.
A little slow. I'll pay you back next Thursday.
Yeah. You already paid me in spades, son. You don't even know.
So we did the song. So now it's time to talk about. Oh, what's that? The second half of the Builder's Diary for this here guitar, the one-way ticket steamer trunk guitar. I finished it up last Friday, not long before the show, I believe it was, and what was that? Oh, okay. And just okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you were leaving.
Took me 2 weeks to build it. There were a lot of hiccups along the way, some of which we'll see here in these photos. You can see the full Builder's Diary on cbgiddy.com. If you go down to the left-hand side, there's the news section. It'll be the topmost entry. There's also a link in the script that Nick could paste in. To get you right there, it's a long one. There's over 100 photos in there. each with a written description. So, yeah, buddy. So, last week I took us up through taking apart the trunk, which took a lot of doing in itself, and then starting to build the box. So from here we take it from the box being partly built through having a playable guitar. So the first photo, here they come. I knew he had it. So the original neck, it's not the neck that's in it now, but the original neck was going to be made from a plank of American chestnut wood that was reclaimed from a 200-year-old barn up in Shapley, Maine. I've got a good bit of this wood around, and I grabbed one of the planks, gave it a look over, noticed a few cracks in it. I was like, I can work around those. It'll be fine, won't it? What could go wrong? So here it is going through the planer, getting it down to thickness. And next we go right over to, I cut a long enough piece of that chestnut, both to form the brace that would run through the body, and then the neck that would be glued onto the brace to form a sort of heel support. Excuse me. Here I'm cutting the notch in the front of the box, right here in this front panel, and there's the brace seated in there. Now, I said the neck wasn't the same one as shown here. The brace is the same. This brace coming out here, you can see on the heel, it's part of that American chestnut plank that's visible there, and you can see I glued in some bracing blocks at either end for the neck to attach to. Here the braces are being glued in, including some corner braces, also made from that American chestnut. I like for the box to be nice and sturdy, to have that extra bracing in there, and gluing in those corner braces does a good job of that. So here, see it, Patrick? Here I've done a mock layout of what I wanted the front of the guitar to look like. You can see I've taken 2 of the hardwood slats that were on the original trunk, cleaned them up, printed some text on them. It reads, "A one-way ticket to points unknown." This guitar being built from a steamer trunk, I wanted to keep that story, that motif going of traveling people, loading their belongings in one of these trunks and taking off by train, by boat, however, around the world, across the country, across the street, who knows. But a one-way ticket to points unknown, it kind of evokes that wanderlust, you know, that hits some of us on occasion, where it doesn't so much matter where you're going as long as you're on your way. And half the fun, maybe most of the fun, is in getting there. Certainly the old hobos, some of the old hobos understood that. Here I have glued on these slats. Now, building this to be an acoustic guitar, I was of course aware of and a little worried about how this would affect the acoustic sound. Would having these hardwood slats on the front of the soundboard dampen the sound too much? Jesus, he comes back. Look at him go. But then I got to thinking, you know, on acoustic guitars, conventional acoustics, there's always bracing glued in under the soundboard, right? All sorts of ladder bracing, all sorts of different types. Well, I said to myself, why not put the bracing on top where it can serve a decorative and structural purpose? So I went for it, right? Now, who knows? What would it have sounded like if I had done the traditional ladder bracing inside? Maybe a little louder, who knows? I think it sounds great, so I think the experiment worked out good. Now, that last photo was showing me putting in the little round-headed nails. I had cut some of the canvas surface of the soundboard off, glued these slats on, clamped and glued, and then I put some of these little round nails back in, the same nails that were originally in these holes in these slats, both for decorative purpose, but I also bent them over on the other side, inside of, the back side of the soundboard. I bent the tips over in the same construction style that had been used on the steamer trunk. So they both look good and serve a structural purpose. The next image that came up there, that's the neck glued to the brace, the heels shaped a little bit, testing the fit into that notch I made in the box. Did pretty good job with notching. It fit right in there, no problem. Here I have drilled down into the braces. If you look close, you can see the screw heads where I drilled down through the neck brace into the box bracing and attached it. I didn't put any glue on at this point. This is just a dry fit to make sure everything was good. Alright, so still working with that original chestnut neck here. I've notched the headstock. If you look closely, you can see I've rounded the back of the neck. For comfort of playing, I've done a lot of sanding. It's coming along nicely. You know, I'm feeling good about it. If you also look closely at that picture, you can see that grain on the headstock. See those waves of grain coming out. What that tells someone who knows wood, or should tell someone who knows wood if they're paying attention, that's called flat grain. And it's not awesome structurally. It's not. You want straight grain that goes vertically through your neck. That is not. That's going horizontal. What could go wrong, you ask? Well, we shall see. Here I decide to turn some attention to the fretboard. I take 2 of those hardwood slats from the trunk, sand off the, they had curved edges to them. The side, you know, it was flat and then it curved down. So I sanded off the curved parts and then I glued them together using my gluing rails to get a wide enough piece, about 1/4 inch thick, to form the fretboard. And then, while that glue was drying, I turned some attention to the tailpiece. I decided to use the lock hasp from the original trunk, brass-plated steel. Decided to use that as my tailpiece. It was the right size, it was hinged, it just seemed perfect, and by God, it came out pretty good, I think. So I got it mounted there with some antique bronze square drive screws that I happen to have handy. Had to do some drilling into the front face for the strings to go through. What's next? Then it was time to glue on that fretboard. Now in between the last fretboard
Howdy folks, so it's been a while since
this,
we've done a Sunday morning video from the studio, so I figured this would be a nice change of pace. And
Alright, in between that last fretboard photo and this, I slotted and fretted the fretboard. So cutting the slots with the fret saw, going over to the fret bench, bang, 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 pound them in, rounding them off, doing all the finish filing. So the fretboard's ready to go, and here it's being glued on. The step when there's no such thing as too many clamps. And then disaster strikes, doesn't it? Look at that. So, fretboard's glued on. I go back to the big edge sander to do some more rounding over of the neck, because it was kind of like holding a baseball bat. So I'm taking wood off, I'm moving it, it's looking great. I take it over to the sanding table, hit that headstock with a little bit of pressure, and crack. Look at that. And it wasn't like a new crack. It wasn't a new split because it got dropped or anything. That rounded, well, you can see it's kind of a rounded brownish area, is an old fissure of some sort that was in that timber. You know, because these timbers that were taken out of the barn were like 12 by 12 and then had them resawn. So who knows how long that fault in the wood was hiding there, waiting for just enough other wood to be removed around it so that it could let go. By God, it did. At first I tried clamping and gluing it, but I knew it wouldn't be good enough. Like, for the guitar I wanted to build, an heirloom quality guitar, the best guitar I had ever built, knowing that headstock had cracked like that and was glued back together, and maybe it would hold forever, maybe it would hold for a while, who knew? It wouldn't do. So, back to the drawing board. I take a few more of the hardwood slats that had been on the trunk, plane them, sand them, edge them, get them ready for gluing together into a new neck. Now, in hindsight, having a neck made from the laminated together strips from the trunk instead of a piece of chestnut that came from something else entirely. In hindsight, it's more appropriate. At the time, I'm not sure I felt that way. So now it was time to salvage what I could from the old broken neck. So I go over to the big bandsaw, I cut off the fretboard, you can see the fretboard there. The next thing to do is I cut the heel off, that heel brace that goes through the box. Pretty much, well, you saw last week I took the remainder of the old neck and re-broke it to show that the glue bond that I had made was stronger. It was the wood around that broke. The glue bond itself didn't break. But anyway, this is not a tight bond commercial, although it could be. So here I have cleaned up the back of the fretboard where I cut it off the old neck, got it down to the original wood, nice and flat. I'm gluing it back onto the new neck. The new neck blank has been sized and milled and shaped, glued onto the heel. So I'm basically starting over on the neck and putting her back together. A lot of clamps. It's not an Irwin clamp commercial either.
Should be.
Well, it could be. Irwin and Tight Bond, sponsored. No, they haven't given me crap. I've given them a lot of money. In fact, here I'm attaching the neck to the box frame. I've put glue down on those inner braces for some extra structural support because I knew building a 6-string guitar. Originally I thought it'd have nylon strings. It ended up with steel strings, so I'm even more glad that I did this extra structural bracing. Well, there's a lot of talking, isn't it? What's next? Gluing on the soundboard. There are a lot of clamps and using pieces of scrap wood, nice straight flat pieces of scrap wood, as clamping cauls. That's C-A-U-L-S, to spread out the clamp pressure to get a nice tight join. It turned out with choices I made later that having a super tight join wasn't all that critical, and you'll see why in a moment. Because I glued on these steel angle irons that were on the original trunk. These on the original trunk were basically edge protectors, so if it got banged around, these thin steel angle pieces would protect those edges. Well, I cut them up in every edge of this box. The 4 short sides and then the outer areas are all covered by these steel angle pieces. It took it was a pain in the butt, I ain't gonna lie, getting them all cut. Some of them I have angled 45-degree miter cuts so they join together. But here you can see I've got them glued on to the front and the side panels, and I'm also making a step towards getting these big stamped steel angle corner brace protectors. Jim asks what glue I used. For the steel angle glue on, I used hot glue, a lot of it. Loaded it up in there, pressed it into place, held it, burnt my hands, held it in place, and it's a pretty good solid joint. I wasn't sure what other glue. Epoxy probably would have been an even more foolproof method, but I think the hot glue has done a good job so far. So here I've got these corner braces glued on. Now these are stamped from, it looks like about 1/16 inch steel. This is sturdy old hardware, man. They built these trunks to last. Rivets and nails bent over on the inside. Big steel stuff. It's serious construction. And I wanted to retain as much of that look as I could in this guitar. I wanted this guitar to look like part of a steamer trunk. So reusing as much of that hardware as I could. And then for sound holes, I used these 2 screened black Dobro style sound hole inserts. A little later from that photo, I antiqued them a bit, roughed them up to get that shiny glossy black off of there. Put a pickup in it. That's one of our disco tone pickups, the piezo disc embedded in hot glue inside a little round wooden oak disc. I added one additional thing. It does have the volume control here, kind of tucked into a corner of the guitar, but I added a 0.01 microfarad capacitor on the jack, just to trim off a little bit more of that treble. I think some glue was dry, I'm not sure what glue, but I decided to take one of those leather handles from the original trunk and reuse it. They just have a great relict, cracked look to them. Like, you can't fake that, and I wanted to reuse one. So it's both decorative, but it's also functional, because this guitar is not light. I haven't weighed it, but it's pretty heavy, and this handle is useful for hauling it around. The tuners. I put my tuner shaft holes too close together. That's mistake number, who's counting on this guitar? You know, I've lost count. Put them too close together for the Wilkinson style tuners I wanted to use, so I had to use these covered gear style. Now these started off shiny gold. We sell them at CB Giddy, shiny gold covered gear tuners, and I had them all mounted in there, and I'm looking at them and like, shiny gold, it's just not, it's not going to work for a guitar that looks like this. So I took them back off and did a multi-step process to antique them. And I've realized since that process could be a little how-to feature all unto itself. It involved the buffing wheel, the wire brush buff wheel, to kind of take that gold finish down, almost all the way down to the base metal. It involved using some special metal antiquing chemicals that I happen to have from past projects, but anyone can get them. Actually, I buffed everything, threw them all right in there and let them soak for a while, and it kind of ate away the rest of the gold, most of the rest of the gold. There's a little hint of some of the gold still on there, but it gave it that kind of blackened, coppery look that fit much better, I think, with the aesthetic of this overall build. So here she is, strung up on the bench. It's got nylon strings on it at this point, and a temporary bridge of roughly the right height. And I give it that first strum, and it's bad. It's bad. It buzzes. All the low frets buzz on like the 3 lowest pitch strings. I get to looking at it closer. I've got fret ends raising up, loose frets, raised issues. Very disappointing. You know, you want to give it that first strum and hear a wonderful sound and be done, right? Well, it was not to be on this guitar. This guitar fought right up until the very end. So I take the strings back off, go over to the fretting bench, and at that point I gotta admit, I got a little frustrated. I got a little downhearted. I stopped taking pictures of the entire rest of the process, because at that point it was all corrective measures. So I end up trying to level and glue down fret ends and clamp and level again, and using the fret rockers. Could not get those frets. Some of them it bowed a little bit because I pounded them too much. So I ended up pulling them all back out, refretting the whole thing, using the tang crimpers to widen the tangs to get them to stay down. Even after that, rocking each fret as I went, I still had to super glue down some ends, still had to do some leveling and recrowning. But finally I got it to where it seemed like they were level, or at least level enough. I had to replace the original nut. I'd made the nut out of some leftover of the neck, laminated together neck stock. First one was too low. I felt that was contributing to the buzz. Made a new one, also out of the leftover neck stock. Got that shaped. Made a bridge out of that leftover laminated neck stock. Of course, while sanding it, it broke. Had to glue that back together. Got all of that done, got the fretting done, strung it up, and this time through I said to myself, screw it. At some point not long before that, I sent Shane a message. I was complaining at him all through this build, sending photos of the various mishaps, and he said, I said to Shane, I think this guitar is bound for the dumpster. It's cursed. The trunk was cursed. It's haunted, and it just will not go together. But I stuck with it, got those frets on, so I said, screw it, I'm stringing it up with steel strings. It's either going to fold up on itself and go in the burn pile, or it's going to work and sound great. So I strung it up, took a few tries to get the bridge lowered, and then I gave it that first strum, and I was like, oh. This is how we test for fret buzz in the Giddy shop. No buzz. She sang out nice and warm and rich and loud, and she did have one more trick for me. Coming back from the fretting table or something, one of the heads of the tuners fell off because the screw had come out. While putting that back on, I discovered that several of the tuner screws had stripped out, so they were loose. So some super glue and reinsertion of screws later, it was finally done. The one-way ticket fought till the end, but by God, she finally agreed to be a guitar. Last Saturday, went over to actually Dan and Laurel Caldwell's house, and we sat around the campfire and picked a few songs on her. And, makes me tired just talking about it. Now, granted, that was an awful lot of talking. Ain't gonna lie. So, just finished the builder's diary for that guitar today. You can read the whole thing. I know everybody just scrolls through the pictures and calls it done, but a lot of words there too. A lot of what I just said, plus some other things, on cbgiddy.com, and I have already begun the next build. Last Friday morning, I hinted at it last week. I teased. I drove up to York Beach, Maine, based on a Facebook Marketplace ad, and bought the raw materials that will become the next guitar. And if you are a member of the Friends of CB Giddy Facebook group, you've seen a couple of teaser pictures. A teaser went out in today's newsletter. Hold on just a second, folks. You strum them?
Sure.
On this?
Yep.
So the next guitar is underway, and I already know the name of the guitar, and I know who it's going to be dedicated to. Because there's a song that goes a little like this. The next guitar is going to be built from a wagon wheel, the pair to this one. I got two in this deal. If you've seen the photos, I've already taken the other one apart, got all the spokes out, got the rim, figuring out how to turn an antique, actually a carriage wheel. This is more for a carriage that would carry people rather than a big work wagon. Figuring out how to turn that thing into a guitar. I'll tell you what. If I thought the steamer trunk build, the one-way ticket, was a challenge, this one's going to be a real thing. It's going to be dedicated to Shane Spiel, and the first song I'm going to play on it is, of course, Wagon Wheel. So look forward to that. Taking photos along the way. It'll be a full builder's diary for that guitar too. If you can't tell by now, I've been on a kick lately of creative building, making guitars out of things that strike my fancy, things that have a story. For these carriage wheels, the lady I bought them from, they belonged to her grandfather. He was born in 1901. He told her they were from the family carriage that his family had when he was a boy over in Boscawen, New Hampshire, which is a little north of Concord, the capital. So, you know, hauling the family to church, to gatherings, work play like this is how people got around, and she's gonna send me a little bit more biography of her grandfather. He was the fire chief in his town. Anytime you got something with a story like that, especially a local story, you know, like I did with the yardstick guitar, the Charlie Boyle tool shed guitar, the steamer trunk, which belonged to, I found out, I forgot to say, I went back to the place where I got that and found out a little bit more about the folks that owned it. Those stories matter, you know, at least they mattered to me. And being able to bring that forward into something that you've built is pretty darn important, I think. So it's now, I think Nick's dead. Oh, there he is! I looked over and there's nobody there. Like,
Yeah, I thought he spontaneously combusted
we've
like
gone
a Spinal Tap
we've
drummer.
gone too long.
This Nick is no more. It has
He's an
ceased.
ex-Nick. All right, no Monty Python. So anyway, stay tuned for wagon wheel guitar build shenanigans. That's a lot of talking, folks. So that's all we've got for you today. Stay tuned. Hopefully Rusty will post more information about
Speaking of Rusty,
virtual...
He sent this. Isn't this from last year's Georgia Festival?
What?
The shirt.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what's happening. Nick's showing off the shirt from last year's Georgia Festival. So somebody had said, I thought I saw somebody say, why isn't it being broadcast to the nation page? Did that come up? Well, it's a valid
might
question, one way or the other. The issue is that each individual performer, like they're not driving to Rusty's house in Georgia to do this. They're going to be live broadcasting. There's no good way that I could find for us to make it so that multiple performers could easily live broadcast to the Nation page. So we figured they can live broadcast to the Friends of Giddy page, and as they do, we can try to share it to the Nation, to CB Giddy. It's not perfect. It's kind of an ad hoc system, but hey, in these times, you do what you can, right? So we already sang the parting glass. Last I heard from Rusty, he had Dar Stelabata, Steve Harvey, and Eric Denton lined up. I don't know if more have been added, but it's a pretty good mix. Just those three, if that's what it ends up being. So
Didn't they have a trio going on? Or
those three?
no?
I don't think Harvey
No,
was. Janice.
Janice did with someone.
J-Dub was emailing with J-Dub earlier today, talking about some slides, getting ready for Christmas. It's all looking good on the J-Dub front.
Good slides. If you haven't gotten yourself one, get one.
I don't know what we're doing. Oh, it's the theme song. Let's mix it up and do it in a little more country and western style this week instead of blues. Don't know how this is going to work. Well, it's a Giddy Gang show on Scarbox Nation TV.
Feel it out.
Said it's a Giddy Gang show on Scarbox Nation TV. And we came to you live from CB Giddy. Well, we come to you live every Friday afternoon at 3. Yes, say we come to you live every Friday afternoon at 3.
That's 3.
way to St. Patrick's Day Irish show for you.
And I'll see
And if
you
the
in
creek
2
does
weeks.
rise, well, we'll come to you from a John boat out in the middle of the Cachico River. I don't know.
Weekend, folks.